The following podcast is a SIMPRONTO Media production. Welcome to the Waste Away podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode. And today we have a guest, Harlen, who's going to be talking to us about speed keto. And one of the things that people don't realize is that intermittent fasting, a lot of times people say, okay, well, are you keto or are you intermittent fasting? Well, when you intermittent fast, you get your body into ketosis. So we're going to be talking about combining that today. So Harlen, for people who don't know about you, give us a little introduction about yourself.
Well, I'm a former school principal who found their way to a keto lifestyle after being a confirmed yoga nut. And I was able to keep my weight off with doing an insane amount of yoga, took off an amazing amount of weight. But then a yoga injury left me unable to do yoga, and my weight ballooned. And it was at that age when it just doesn't come off like it used to anymore. I eventually went to doctor after doctor, promise after promise of I was going to the weight was just going to fall off, more than one doctor told me. And eventually they said, okay, cut out sugar and see what happens. I cut out sugar and nothing happened. So I went to them and I said, okay, I'm not losing any weight and I've cut out all sugar. They said, okay, what are you eating? I showed it to them and they said, oh, well, you're eating rice cakes. Rice cakes convert to sugar. I went, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, no more rice cakes. I won't have anything to put peanut butter on, but okay, no rice cakes. And the weight didn't go down. So they had me eat and drink special shakes. This was a green shake. This was a protein shake. And they said, and best of all, there's no sugar in it. Years later, when I was starting keto, I went back and looked at the shakes and they didn't have sugar in them, but they had maltodextrin, which is one of those fake sugars that spike your insulin, and I found out that I was having sugar anyway, and that's why those didn't work. I went through low carb rather quickly and found out that a lot of products in low carb were really high in one form of sugar or another, and that saying no sugar or low sugar was just a matter of finding out, okay, how are they lying? Like it might not have sugar in it, but it might have agave in it. It might not have sugar in it, but it might have date sugar or honey or some other form. And finally, I went keto. And I went keto and became knowledgeable about the ingredients. I found a new home and a new lifestyle. I lost weight, and then it stopped. And I stayed on a plateau for more than a year, close to 2 years. And then I discovered intermittent fasting. And I became such a big believer in intermittent fasting, read everything that Jason Fung put out. I even interviewed him. And one of the things that he said in a podcast that I heard was that if you have metabolic syndrome, it's going to take you an incredibly long time to lose weight, even with intermittent fasting. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that idea. I respected him. He's a physician. He knows his stuff. But I said, and I heard in it as well, if you're fasting all the time, why isn't the weight going down faster? And that's when I came up and I started studying what happens to the metabolism if you do the same thing time after time after time. And I put together my theory, which I found evidence for at the NIH, the National Institute of Health, is that when you do anything for a long period of time, the metabolism gets stuck on it. It comes to expect it. It adjusts for it. And I said, well, there are so many different ways to do intermittent fasting. What if you constantly changed what you were doing and never let the body develop a routine. I didn't realize at the time that I was developing the core of the program I came to label as Speed Keto, which combines different kinds of fasting and breaks them up so that your body never quite figures out the routine and it just keeps losing.
So tired throughout the day and just feeling restless at night, then I want you to try something called Energy Bits. Each package has spirulina or chlorella algae. They're plant-based and they have 0 sugar, 40 nutrients, 5 grams of protein. And so you are gonna feel great taking them. So go to energybits.com and then you'll get 20% off if you put the promo code Chantel. That's Chantel. So what kind of eating window do you like to kind of change around? So like give us some examples of like what your eating window looks like and how you change it so that you can kind of keep your body guessing.
Okay. So what we do is we do a combination of OMAD, 1 meal a day, which, it's literally 1 meal. I recommend that people do it between 4 and 8 p.m., whatever it is, and that's it. You can have water, you can have electrolytes, you can have bulletproof coffee during the day. But for days that you're doing OMAD, that's it. You can also have chicken broth. I discussed that with Dr. Fung, and he allows teas and broth because it's so little in calories. He doesn't believe that those, quote, break the fast. So then there are days that we do 2MAD, where you have 2 meals a day. You choose a different meal. Some days it's no breakfast, some days it's no lunch. And the 2 meal a day it doesn't really have a set interval, but it's cutting down. The body's expecting that 3rd meal and it just never happens. And then there are extended fasts that we do adding bulletproof coffee, chicken broth, and electrolytes, although generally there are a lot of electrolytes in the chicken broth. We use chicken broth because it's only about 50 calories a cup. Beef broth has 3 times as many calories, and that's really coming over what it is to any definition of breaking a fast. And we alternate these. And then there are days that people have 3 meals a day and there's no fasting at all. And we see some very, very interesting things. We begin with an extended fast. Again, you can have chicken broth. People don't really get hungry. They soon learn that hunger is a mind concept, not a body concept. And the first initial fast is a detox, where you soon discover all of the garbage that has been inside your body, and the fasting really initiates a very powerful cleanse. People are shocked by the first fast on the body. And after this first fast, they never again have that same reaction to a fast. It's just that it's the cleanest way to do it. The intermittent fasting is probably the best way I know to fight inflammation in the body. There's some things that we recommend that are anti-inflammatory drinks. They may taste awful, but they also bring down the inflammation in the body. Mm-hmm. And we recommend really good, fresh probiotics if you can get it.
Got it. Well, I do want to kind of talk about one thing, because I feel like it's unbelievable to me that I get questions all the time from listeners, and people really don't understand ketosis. And so I want to kind of address that for just a second.
Absolutely.
Because keto and intermittent fasting have a lot in common, because keto works in the same ways that intermittent fasting works, right? But I want to clarify to people. So when somebody's in ketosis, It occurs when the body is faced with a challenge of low blood sugar and reduced glycogen stores. So you can do that in two ways, right? You can either do it by not having the carbs, right? Most of us know that our body can make energy by burning carbs as well as fat, but one of our sources of energy is glucose. And so we can get that glucose by having carbs, breads, fruits, vegetables, that sort of thing. But we can also have our body go into using fat by not giving it anything, right? By fasting altogether. And I think that's where people just, they don't understand that concept, because they think, okay, if I'm in ketosis, I have to be on a keto diet. Well, no, you can get in ketosis by not eating any food at all.
Yes. And I want to follow up on something and clarify something. You can also test for ketosis without being in ketosis. There are a lot of companies that are selling pills and potions, some of them very, very expensive, that promise to, quote, put you into ketosis in 30 minutes, in an hour. And what that does is you are basically eating ketones. Those are the pills, those are the liquids. You eat ketones, and within an hour, if you pee on a strip, it's going to show the presence of ketones. That is different from being in ketosis, because these ketones go right through your body, and they do not put you into what Chantel is talking about, nutritional ketosis, which is the state that we want. Now, whether you get to it through intermittent fasting or you get to it through keto, the surprising thing about being in that state of ketosis, you'll know you're there when, number one, you notice that your hunger doesn't control you anymore. Even though you're not eating, if you start fasting and you are not in ketosis, the first couple of hours, even days, are going to be hard because you're craving. But once you are in ketosis, your body no longer has these cravings for food. Food becomes something that you eat in order to live, not something that you eat because it's fun, not something that you eat because you're stressed, not something that you eat because it's craving. It becomes very, very easy to do. But a lot of people who start IF or intermittent fasting and just dive in, give up right away because they don't have the mind piece to go with it, is that, first of all, understand that it's something that they can do. They are not going to waste away. They are not going to starve. They are not going to trigger the starvation reflex, or the body is going to hold up. The first step is always a detox, get the crap out of your system. And then number two, your body starts to, in IF, your body starts to rebuild itself on a cellular level. And the new you is much more clean because the toxins are gone, and much more powerful because you're not dependent on carbs or sugar for energy. Your body is manufacturing the ketones all on itself. So if you get to it either through IF or the keto diet, you end up in the same place with the same benefits. It's like going into a movie theater. You may have a ticket on one side of the theater, I may have a ticket on the other, but we both get into the same theater.
Yeah, because when you have reduced glycogen stores, it initiates hormones that signal the body to begin breaking down fat stores, and it releases fatty acids into the circulation. Then those fatty acids are transported into your liver and used in the production of ketones, and that's where we got this whole thing of, okay, now I'm in ketogenesis.
Right. So what we advise to accelerate the process is that light exercise every morning will deplete that glycogen store. You don't need to train like a crazy person. You don't need to You don't need to get up and sweat every day. If you go out and you go for a walk the dog and walk the dog a little bit further, stay out there for about a half an hour, and you will deplete the stored glycogen that you have. That's about what you start your day with, that amount, that 30-minute walk. And if you can't walk because you're chair bound, you can't move, the doctor says you can't move your arms, you can't move your legs, there is always something that you can do. There are little pedal devices, if you can use your feet, that you can exercise like that. If you can't do that, there are little things that you can do, little tiny rubber weights that weigh about a pound, and you can sit and go like this. Anything that you do that helps burn the glycogen will accelerate your weight loss.
Yeah, I love that. And I will tell you, the people who I've seen who have done the best on losing weight, they really incorporate a lot of walking into their regime, because what happens, I've seen people who go to the gym and they do such an intense workout where they are like balls to the wall working out. Then they get so ravenous, and then they get to the point where they are starting to overeat. But the people who are really incorporating walking into their diet on a regular basis, they're burning all those calories from walking, but they're not getting themselves to the point where they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so ravenously hungry and eating everything but the kitchen sink.
So let me take what you said and give you personal proof that what you said is true. About maybe 2 years ago, I hired a personal trainer who pulled up in front of my house every single day with a truck. And inside the truck, there was every conceivable device. There was a stair climber. There was an elliptical. And there was one other device that I called death, that is, combined a whole bunch of these things together. And plus there was a bicycle too. There were weight machines. You name the weight machine, we had it. There were weights for push with your legs and so forth. And I worked out with him for an hour a day, 5 days a week. And during that period of time, I did not lose a single pound of weight. And the guy kept saying, oh, it's because you need carbs to lose weight. He knew I was on keto. You should have carbs. You should have carbs. Don't do this. Don't do that.
Hey guys, I have a free smoothie book that has over 20 recipes that are super unique, like broccoli bonanza, great green smoothie, and mojito madness, and so much more. They are really amazing and you're gonna love them. And the best part is it's totally free. So go to chantelrayway.com/free recipe and you'll get the book and tons of other free recipes. Or just look in the show notes and click there.
And I think what the intense weight did was affect my thyroid and shut it down so that I wasn't able to, my adrenal glands were drained by all the intense exercise. And so I stopped. And when I stopped and went to gentle walking and exercise, the weight came off.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of talk about how people kind of transition. So what did you kind of do to kind of transition? Because obviously the purpose of ketosis is to provide fuel when there's the other sources of energy, mainly glucose, are running low. And you have to transition, because a lot of times people say, when they start doing keto or they start doing fasting, they start feeling so bad.
I think that the reason that they feel so bad is that they're not taking the electrolytes. When they start keto, your body has this sudden change where you lose a tremendous amount of water weight up front. And with the water go the minerals. You're losing sodium, you're losing magnesium, you're losing potassium, you're losing calcium, you're losing manganese, copper. And unless you replace these, you're going to come down with what is colloquially known as the keto flu. You may feel tired, even exhausted, even sleepy. Now, there have been days where I have forgotten to take my electrolytes. I remember one of them quite well. I was doing a presentation in Las Vegas. I was driving down Las Vegas Boulevard. I'm in front of Caesar's Palace. All I wanted to do was fall asleep. And I remember I was literally at the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Flamingo going, what do you think they would do if I just leaned over and went to sleep right now? Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel this way? And then all of a sudden I went, I didn't have electrolytes. Okay, wake up. Let's make it to the hotel. Take the electrolytes, which I did. Miraculously, I made it to the hotel. I was so exhausted. Took the electrolytes, felt better, drank another glass of electrolytes, and was like, okay, I'm normal. So if you don't take electrolytes in whatever form, you can either make your own formula. You can Google my name, Harlen Kilstein electrolytes, and you'll see that there's a recipe. You can make your own, or you can buy any of the brands of electrolytes. Let me caution you that sports drinks are not electrolytes. They may say they are electrolytes, but all of the aids, the Gatorades, the Powerades, whatever, they are so low in electrolytes that they can't even list their ingredients on the label. The same thing with electrolyte water. If you look at the ingredients on the label, it will say water and electrolytes, but it will not tell you how much because they are below the minimums. Make sure that when you get an electrolyte, you don't have them with sugar. Yes, there are many of the electrolyte tablets especially that contain sugar. So make sure that it doesn't have that. There is a brand of electrolytes called Keto Chow Fasting Drops. It's available on Amazon. It's just electrolytes in liquid. And this demonstration, if you don't put this in water, here we go, wish me luck. Oh, they taste awful. Oh, God. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that was bad. But if you put that in water, it's not so bad. There are also many companies.
You have a great, I saw online you have something called a completely keto lemon lime electrolytes.
That's where I sent people. Yeah. There's a recipe. You can make them yourself. Or there are a number of companies that make electrolytes. We have our own completely keto electrolytes. But I'm more concerned that people take them rather than whose they take. If you want to make them yourself, it's simple. I have a recipe online. Jigsaw, Ultima, Dr. Berg, and I all have electrolyte formulas. There are different flavors for the electrolytes. Just make sure you're getting enough sodium in them. Some of them have very little sodium, and that's the electrolyte that you need the most. Some people, there's a rumor out there that says that pickle juice is an electrolyte. It's not. It's got a lot of sodium in it, but the National Institute of Health specifically says it's not an electrolyte. So it may help you feel better, but it's not going to get you that balance that you want in your body. Because quite frankly, people who have had a problem with weight or people who have a problem with health, you want to restore balance to your body. And when your body is balanced, whatever that word means to you, you're going to feel a lot better in your body and feel a lot better about yourself.
So let's talk about how to kind of shock your body with intermittent fasting in giving yourself, let's say, like, what are some good ways to do it to where you could say, like, okay, maybe I'll do one meal a day today, then I'll do 2 meals tomorrow. Like,
so you want to set up a calendar where you are changing it. And what you have to do is think about days that are going to be easy for you to do this. Some people do better when they're home on the weekend and they are in more control of it. Some people say, hey, I'm going to take a thermos of tea and a thermos of chicken broth with me to work, and I'm going to do it at work. You have to fit it into your own schedule. Just like there's no people with the exact same fingerprints, there aren't people with the exact same body requirements. And you have to figure out what works for you. That, we weren't stamped with a mold into a mold. You have to find what works for you. For Chantel, water fasting might be the answer. For me, broth fasting might be the answer. For the next person, OMAD. My secretary has been with me for 19 years. Her husband did OMAD only and lost well over 100 pounds doing OMAD. Her husband can't do it at all. Doesn't work for her.
So let's talk about people who say something like, my blood sugar is really, my blood sugar gets too low. I can't do fasting. What is your response to someone who says that? So
the first response is, yes, there are people who have low blood sugar issues. And what you need to do is, first of all, are you a type 1 diabetic? Are you pregnant? Are you nursing? Are you someone under the age of 18? All of these people should write out a plan of what they want to do for IF and show it to their physician first. A lot more doctors than in the past are becoming aware of the benefits of IF, how good it is for the body, and will encourage you. And if your doctor says, okay, I think that if you have chicken broth, that will raise your blood sugar enough so that then you go with what your doctor says. If your doctor says you might have to eat a hard-boiled egg or something during the day, you go by what the doctor says. What does the doctor want you to do? Now, one of the things that the doctors had me do was called continuous glucose testing, where you wear a device on your arm, and after you eat, you pass your phone over it, it scans it and records it and sends the information to your doctor, and they see what's going on at each time. What do you do in the morning? What's your blood sugar when you wake up? What's your blood sugar after you have breakfast, and so forth. And for a lot of people, when you have the blood glucose monitor that any doctor can have a prescription for, basically it's like you take it and you put it on your arm. You hardly feel it at all. You connect it to your phone, you download their app, and generally a half hour after you eat is the optimal time to notice what your blood sugar is doing, because it does take your body a little bit, and you see what kind of spike you had. But if your blood sugar is low, working with a physician is the safest way of making sure that you don't cause yourself a problem.
Yeah. And I agree with that, but I would say I would try to find a more natural doctor or a functional medicine doctor.
100%.
Because otherwise, if you go to a regular doctor, they're going to be like, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. When we have proof that Dr. Fung is a perfect example, he has thousands and thousands and thousands of people who had type 2 diabetes that were able to stop insulin treatments altogether from doing intermittent fasting.
Absolutely.
So I agree. I think that blood glucose monitor is a great, great idea if you truly do. Because some people say, oh, I have low blood sugar, but they really don't as well.
So let me echo what you said about the doctors. When doctors go to medical school, it's 4 years in medical school. Then there's residency. Then if they want to become a specialist, there are more years. So the doctors typically spend about 8 years getting their MD. That's after college. And when they do that, this may make you either smile or cry. In all that period of time, the 8 years, they get less than a half hour's information about nutrition. It's just not covered. And so doctors are working on old information, calorie reduction. Chances are the most they know about keto is from looking at a magazine cover while standing online in the supermarket.
Hey guys, I want you to know what I've been doing for my health that is absolutely transforming it. I'm taking massive amounts of vitamin C. Now, it's not just the regular vitamin C. This is 100% natural, and it only contains natural sources, whole foods like amla berry, camu berry, cherry. So it's literally just ground up fruits and massive amounts, and it delivers 750% of your daily recommended vitamin C. So I literally double it, and I have just seen so many benefits. So go to chantelrayway.com/vitamin C to get yours today.
One doctor told me, oh, I don't think that keto is safe. You're going to get ketoacidosis. And I said, but isn't that something that only affects type 1 diabetics? Oh, is that the case? Well, maybe it is safe. They literally do not know. So what Chantel said about finding a physician who is either natural or aware or supportive of these things is fantastic. I took a long time till I found 2 doctors who are completely supportive of it, and one loves that I do IF and has just, been there and making sure that I have the right nutrients and so forth that the body needs. But when you get your body to balance, everything comes into balance, from your blood sugar to your insulin levels, to your blood pressure, to your cholesterol. Your entire body balances out. Be patient with yourself because it's not an overnight fix. I mean, look, everybody would love to get back to balance overnight, but that's just not the way the good Lord made us.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And that it's funny because I got a Dexcom continuous glucose monitoring system. I borrowed one for like about 10 days just to do it for fun. I don't have any blood sugar issues, but I like to see it for fun and see like what I ate and what my blood sugar did. So it's really a cool thing. They're expensive, but if you can afford to buy one, even if you don't have diabetes, it's a really great tool to kind of see where your blood sugar is going and what you're doing.
I'm seeing these things coming down in price in the near future. I was at my doctor last week, my cardiologist, and he did an EKG there, and he goes, oh, by the way, this might put me out of business. But he said, there's a new device that you can do EKGs at home and just send them to a doctor, and they read it for you. He said, it's as accurate as my machine. You just put this little device. I can tell you the name of it. It's under $100 on Amazon, and the device is known as a Kardia, Kardia, Kardia mobile device. It is a tiny little device. You set up on the app so that it knows it's you. You put one finger on each side or 2 fingers on each side, and it does a perfect EKG. He said, this is as good as what we do. And so pretty soon the blood sugar testing devices are going to come down in price too.
Yeah. And they have ones that I think that you can buy now. There's a Freestyle Libra one.
Yeah, that's the one that I used, the Freestyle Libra.
Yeah. Do you remember how much it was?
Well, like the doctors gave a
Insurance.
prescription for
Yeah.
it, so it really wasn't very much. I think it was like $47 or something like that with the prescription. Because the insurance companies are changing now. They see that there are certain tests that you can do that will prolong your life, improve your health, and that they would be smarter to pay for these devices than to have to pay for the medical fixing and the hospital visits afterwards. So they're getting a lot more wise in let's work on preventative medicine rather than these other issues.
Yeah, and you do have to be careful, because even when I got my CGM, it was basically you have to kind of regulate it with, like, it even asks you like once a day to kind of check, because instead of taking glucose readings from your blood, the CGM, it's taken from this fluid that's kind of surrounds your cells of your tissues below your skin. And so it'll actually ask you to kind of once a day kind of actually prick your blood? And
no, it didn't. I'm the wrong person to do that. I am I am so not into doing the pricking myself with a needle. See, I have them right here.
Uh-huh.
These are these are the needles. Where are they? They're right here. Yes, and they're sealed because I'm a coward. So
that's hysterical. Well, thanks so much for being on our show today. Tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you.
So first of all, if you look up my name and Harlen Kilstein Ketosis on Facebook, you will find a bunch of different groups that you're welcome to join. Biggest one is Keto Recipes for Beginners. We've got over 1 million members there, and we have dozens of moderators who will help you and on your quest. You can also find me at speedketo.com, where you can find my program that combines strict keto and intermittent fasting, where we mix up the fasting, but we also give you the menus of what to eat. They're interchangeable. If there are foods that you don't eat, you'll find something that you will like, all planned out for a month, and staggering results.
All right. Well, if you have a question that you want answered, go to questions@chantelrayway.com. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for having me.